Okay. So Howard, if you want to open the meeting, go ahead.
We'll give it 1 second. We're not quite there yet. Just
Oh.
give me a minute. I'll tell you guys. Not 1 second, but just give me a minute. All right. Okay, now we're live, guys.
Okay, thank you, Victor.
Mhm.
I'm going to go ahead and call to order the financial subcommittee meeting for January 11th. We do not have a quorum this evening, but we still wanted to go and review the financials prior to going to tomorrow night's school board meeting.
So Richard Burrows present. Debbie?
Debbie Zupan.
Howard Ellsworth.
So I have forwarded the financials to those of us in the meeting right now. They'll also be shared with the full board tomorrow. And we're still waiting for Bonnie Colville, who is our consultant for finances, to join us.
I sent it out as an email today about 1:15.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it.
Very good. So if you want to just real fast sort of jump to the budget to actual all funds, 6 months ended 12/31/20. We sort of see the budget and the actual and the percentage of budget and budget remaining. So this is really our halfway mark for the year. Everything in my estimation appears to be on pretty good even keel. Our funding is coming in regularly. The only a strange thing not strange, but just outlier here was, do you have that document up, Howard? Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we see revenue and expenditures, and under expenditures for facility, it showed that we were at 78% of our budget at the halfway mark, and I asked Bonnie, who can be much clearer about this, once she joins us or at the board meeting, why we were so far into that. And there was we were really prepaying facility costs out of other funds that we had at this point, as our other reimbursements come in, this will even out before the end of the year. So there's nothing particularly remarkable about that number, and we shouldn't worry about it. Otherwise, everything else appears to be, somewhere between 40 and 50%. So we're on keel for that. Any questions about that, Howard?
Nope.
Okay. And I don't know if Bonnie's having trouble coming in. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about, oops, do we have a message there?
It's Bonnie. She said she didn't get a link. Do you want to resend the
I
link?
just emailed it to her just a second ago.
All right, thank you.
So the other item, which is really two parts, Howard, is something that I would like to have as a discussion during executive session, which is about employee compensation. And one of them is to upgrade one of our positions, since the person was hired under one expectation and is doing substantially more than that. And the other is a new position. Both of these have occurred in this particular way at the central office because we contracted the budget at the beginning of this school year, and with the additional federal funding that's been coming in and COVID reimbursements, we're a little bit ahead of the game financially. And so I would like to have as a discussion with the board about either upgrading one position or adding another, but wanted to talk about it financially just so we see where we are. The first position is the administrative assistant, which is a position currently held by Debbie Zupan, who's in the meeting. She knows about this. We have a really well articulated new responsibilities list here. her current salary is $36,758, which is public information. She's capped at the top of that particular range in that particular job description. And I'd like to move her to a new salary range for administrative services coordinator and bump her salary up by $6,163 a year, which is reflective of her new responsibilities and increased activities. And the payment for the balance of this 6 months would be half of that for this year, and then we'll revisit the position permanently in the beginning of the next budget year. So any questions about that particular proposal, Howard?
Not any questions about the proposal. I just want to be careful about going into executive session. Normally that's for hiring, firing, and terminations. I just want to make sure that we're covered there.
Well, so advise me on this. I considered that since this was new positions, that it might be something that goes into executive session. I'm happy to do it during regular board. What do you think?
We can probably talk to Tony about that before the meeting starts.
Okay, all right. Regardless, I'll have the documentation to send forward in any case.
Bobby says he's asking her for a password. What do you say, Victor?
I'll take it again.
All right.
The other position is a new one, and this is to take burden off 3 of our staff members who are doing a lot of data entry. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and keeps them away from their other responsibilities. So I'm proposing a new position called Information Data Manager. At the top of that salary range is about $42,920. And I asked Bonnie to do some analysis for me because this person would take care of special ed reimbursements, RMAC reimbursements, child nutrition reimbursements. All of these are revenue generators for us, and we try to keep ahead of them. A lot of that work has been taken care of because of COVID, but the more we are on the spot for that and relieving others whose jobs it really isn't to do that, the better. So just as an example, the revenue that is generated. There's Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. Welcome. Oh, you're muted.
Finally.
Finally, welcome. So I was just talking about the 2 positions that we had proposed. And so the amount of revenue that could be more accurately generated by this individual is about $184,800. It goes back into our general operating funds, but I think the more accurate we are and the more we're billing, the more money that we'll get back. So, and that relieves the stress on other staff who are having to do that work. So those are the 2 positions that would help us to move more efficiently here. And we'll talk to Tony tomorrow, Howard, about how to proceed with that.
Okay. My only question, and I know you mentioned this when we talked about Debbie's position, is that is basically redefining the position, new title, increase in salary, plus this salary for this position. And I know you said with the monies coming in from COVID, I just want to make sure, and I'm sure this will come up tomorrow, that if the monies weren't coming in for COVID, does the budget still support?
Right. So one of the things that Bonnie and I were discussing today is that the new elementary and secondary relief funds coming from the federal government, ESSER, we had monies for last year. ESSER 2, Roman numeral 2, is coming in at higher rates, and so there'll be increased funding that will come forward for next year from that particular source. Is that correct, Bonnie?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We're hearing 4 to 5 times the amount that we received for the original ESSER funds.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
could be anywhere from 240,000 to over 300,000. So,
It's
So
good news.
Richard, my only guidance there would be is beyond the funding that we're getting right now because we're in special circumstances. Let's always keep mindful of our budget in non-COVID terms, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because the last thing I would hate to see is we've got these positions and now our revenue shrunk down because we've lost support somewhere along the way.
I certainly agree. So part of this
How-
fits, pardon me, Bonnie, part of this fits into
right.
the efforts to increase funding in general for the organization. And I think the more we run smoothly, the more we can move forward. But Bonnie, go ahead.
Agreed.
yes, Howard, what
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was going to say is this brand new position that is being talked about, the majority of that, at least 80% of that can be paid from federal funds, which is not coming out of our operating account.
Okay.
The only piece possibly would be whatever we pay for food service, but we could pay at least 80% from federal funds for this new position because of the job duties that they're going to have, which is going to be taking care of some of the federal reporting and claiming for reimbursements from Medicaid, RMAC money. So that would be maybe, just a small percentage, 20% of that salary would be coming from operating.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
So Howard, that's pretty much all I have at this particular point.
Okay. And Richard, I'm going to go back to the very first thing we said just to make sure I completely understand. So Bonnie,
I
Richard,
apologize, I couldn't get on for some
no,
reason.
no, you're fine.
Sorry.
The facilities being at 78%.
Yes.
Richard has explained it to me.
Right.
I
Right.
get confused in these.
Right. So the what we call the rent payment to Bank of the Ozarks, okay, that is split up between Fund 2217, which is student growth, Fund 3400, which is the charter facilities funding, and operating. And I have been paying that mainly from those funds that are not the operating funds because we will get that money in. And then we will leave, then we will pay, when those monies are gone, those budgeted amounts for student growth and for the facilities funding are gone, then we'll start paying that more out of the operating fund.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And then also, Richard, I probably missed it, but we're making the transfer twice a year now instead of waiting till the end of the year to clear out the funds that start with one, the teacher salary funds. So we did do that journal entry in January to clear, or excuse me, in December to clear out what had been spent to date from Fund 1. So you will see in your Fund 1, the board reports, there should be a zero balance. It's been running in the negative, but now it's a zero. And then it's going to start running in the negative again after we start paying payroll again from January through June. And then we'll clear it out in June.
Right. So I'm glad we're doing it twice a year now.
Yes.
All right.
The money's there. It's just it was in the 2000 funds, and then we transferred the money to the corresponding 1000 funds.
Okay, and then Richard, the last thing, since Bonnie just talked about the new position being federally funded, I think she said 80%.
Right.
That'll be a good way to sell that tomorrow as well, that it's coming out of federal funds, not operating expense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Good deal.
All right.
Short, sweet, and simple. I appreciate y'all doing this. That way, when we go into the meeting, they're easier to answer some questions.
Sure, you're welcome. And Howard, I think things look really good. And with this additional money, there are some things that we can use when this new ESSER 2 money comes in, like Rich was talking about. There will be some things we can do facility wise and other program wise that's really going to help take the burden out of our operating fund.
All right, good. Excellent.
And I should
Okay.
say, well, it's not really a finance issue. Ultimately, it is that because the virtual and COVID instructional models that we've had for the past, since March, are really difficult for students to accomplish successfully, no matter what good work that we provide them. There has been a slight increase in our failure rate just because it doesn't work well for some students. And so one of the nice things about the ESSER II funding is that it allows you to spend money on what is called lost learning, which means that we could provide some more one-on-one, more specific kinds of experiences, perhaps even during the summer 6 weeks, so that kids can catch up before we start the next school year. So that could be a real advantage for
Excellent.
That
people
sure
who,
could be.
yeah, where
And-
families have struggled.
And also, Howard, one other thing, and Rich, again, forgive me if you'd already spoken to this, but we got from the state for COVID relief funds, we've received $58,000. That money has gone into a federal fund that was earmarked for that. We're using that to pay for our cleaning service and some our subs also. So that money that would have typically come from operating to pay those funds, because we pay those people, because they qualified for it under the COVID Relief Act. Now those funds have been freed up, you might say, to the tune of $58,000 because now they're coming out of that federal fund.
And the other thing, which Bonnie and I talked about, one of the new features in ESSER II is the opportunity to spend money on facility improvement that makes it a safer environment. And this would allow us to
Exactly.
spend money on the HVAC systems at the elementary school, which are seriously in need of better air circulation.
Yes.
Good deal. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you.
We wouldn't be able to get through this if it wasn't for y'all.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Howard.
thank you. We'll
Okay. Y'all have a
adjourn
good
for this
evening.
All right. Take care.
Are we
Bye-bye.
supposed to say roll tide before we end this?
No, absolutely. I love
Wow. Opportunist there. Y'all have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.